Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. So today, let's talk about loneliness and how we can face this situation. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about two things. And the first one is the loneliness, and the second one is the solitude, which is more reframed version of being alone. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about loneliness. When we are around people, when we are living with people, and when we are in relationships with people, normally we feel happy. We feel that we are content, right? And we feel this joyfulness within ourselves. But when they are not around us, or when they leave us, sometimes when we have to depart from them, normally we feel depressed, sad, or lonely, or we feel like no one cares about us. So this is the feeling of loneliness. If we analyze this emotion of loneliness, we can find that we have become happy because of the people around us, because of their reaction, because of their way of behavior. That was the reason that we became happy. Simply it means that we have given the key of our own happiness to other people. So when they leave our life, sometimes when they depart from ourselves, sometimes when they fade away from our life, what happens to us is we become unhappy. We become sad, we become depressed, and we feel like no one is caring for us. There is no one to help for me. That is what we are thinking. So how we can deal with this? Well, that is where we come to the topic of solitude. Supreme Buddha advised us, Supreme Buddha advised the monks to practice this practice of being solitude. So what do you mean by solitude? So first of all, let's compare the loneliness to the solitude. Then you can take some idea about that. In loneliness, when you're lonely, you're thinking for someone to come to your life and make you happy. That means you're depending on others. Your happiness depends on others. But in solitude, you try to find the happiness within yourself. When you find the happiness inside yourself, you don't want to depend on another person. You don't want to depend on second person. You can find your happiness within yourself. And that is what the practice of solitude gives us. So when you are being solitude, or simply when you are being alone, now there are the people talk about this like the loneliness and being alone is two different things, right? So when you're being alone or when you're being in solitude, you're happy. You're not finding the happiness from these outer sources. You find the happiness within yourself. So Buddha teaches us to look at this loneliness not as something to be sad, not as something negative. Buddha teaches us to look at this loneliness, something that is beneficial for you, something that is positive. So how we can use this loneliness, or how we can reframe this loneliness to be positive? Well, if you think about whenever you are being alone, you have more time for yourself, right? You have a bigger freedom for yourself. You can think about yourself. You can reflect more about yourself, and you can practice meditations, or you can think about your health and do some practices about that. You can do some self-development techniques, so you can improve yourself. So when you use that time, when you use that loneliness for good things, then you become more positive about that. Then you will never feel these sad or depressing states. So let me tell you a little story how Buddha felt lonely at one time. Actually, this incident happened to the Buddha before he became enlightened. We call him the Bodhisattva. When he was Bodhisattva, he was practicing this self-mortification for 6 years. He gave lots of hardships to this body. He did some extreme meditations in the jungle. So there were 5 monks who were helping the Bodhisattva. So he practiced these self-mortification meditations for 6 years and he mastered that. Finally, he came to the conclusion of that I cannot achieve this enlightenment by self-mortificating or by giving this extreme hardship to this body. So he decided to find this middle way. So what he did was, first of all, he took his bowl and he went to the village and he got some foods to eat. Because he thought that to do the meditations, I need to have this physical energy. But those 5 monks who were helping to Bodhisattva, who were expecting the enlightenment from the Bodhisattva through this self-mortification, was so confused because they saw that the Bodhisattva is having these foods. Then those 5 monks thought, like, now he's not going to achieve this enlightenment. The enlightenment can only be achieved by this self-mortification. So they never believed on the Bodhisattva. So what they did was, they left the Bodhisattva. Now our Maha Bodhisattva was all alone in the middle of the jungle. There was no one to help him. There was no one to care about him. No one knew about him. He was all alone. But he didn't think about that loneliness as something depressed or something negative. So he thought, now I have more time for myself. I can do my meditations freely. There was no one to think about me. So I must use this time for my self-development. That is what Maha Bodhisattva thought. So that is the way that we also should think about this loneliness. If you are feeling lonely, if you are having some kind of a loneliness situations in your life, use that time, use that valuable time to create a better life for yourself. Because you have more time. You can do meditations. You can stick into a daily routine of the self-development. You can do meditations, you can do workouts, you can walk for some time, and you can be with this nature, read a book, or learn something new, practice meditations, do exercises. These things can be done when you are all alone. So, rather than feeling depressed about the situations that you are in, why can't we become more happy about the time that we are spending alone, right? So practice this, okay? So if people comes to your life, let them come. If people walks away from your life, let them walk away. But you have to be by yourself. You have to think about yourself. That is what you have to think, and that is what you have to do in this valuable time. So I think you got some idea about the loneliness and being in the solitude. So practice the solitude and make your life more better. To be happy is every living being's right in this world. Everything that we do, everything that we say, why we are doing them, we do that to be happy. Just ask from yourself, why am I doing what am I doing? You can answer to yourself. You will find that the reason why I do everything in life to make myself happy. If I ask from you, why do you wake up early in the morning and just prepare some food and go out to work? To make yourself happy and to make others happy, isn't it? Yes. You gain happiness by making others happy as well. That you have to remember, right? So there are 2 types of happinesses in this world. The first type of happiness is called the material happiness, right? And also the other type of happiness is called the spiritual happiness. To call it a good life, to call it a perfect life, one must achieve these two types of happinesses in his life. One must experience both of these happinesses in their life, right? So from this video, I would like to share a wonderful teaching from the Buddha that explains about what are the types of happinesses that a person who is living in a household life, a family life, must achieve. Now, according to Buddhism, there are two types of lives. The first type of life is called the household life. That means the people who are living in a family life, right? Maintaining a family, living in a house, engaging in material pleasures and all the stuff, right? A household life. That means you, right? And also, there is this other type of life. It is called the monk's life, right? Which we can call them the homelessness life. That means we leave our houses, we leave our families and become monks, right? So that we no longer own a house, we no longer own a family, we no longer maintain a family, right? So the ones who renunciate the household life, the ones who leave the household life, they seek a higher kind of happiness, right? That doesn't mean that they don't seek any kind of happiness. We as monks, why we become monks is to seek the spiritual happiness. Now, when you become a monk, it doesn't mean you totally deny seeking the material happiness, right? But for a monk, there must be a limit for seeking the material happiness, because as living beings, we can't totally deny seeking material pleasure. As living beings, we must consume some sort of material pleasures in this world. But that seeking, that consumption of material pleasure must not disturb the peace and the spiritual happiness that a monk is seeking, right? So for monks, there are limitations for material happiness, okay? But it is less of the material happiness and more of the spiritual happiness. So in this teaching of the Buddha focuses on household life, a householder, a person who is living a family life. To call that life a perfect life, a good life, the Buddha says that there are 4 types of happinesses that a householder must achieve in their life, right? The first type of happiness, the Buddha called it Ati Sukha. What is it? Ati Sukha. Ati Sukha can be translated into English as the happiness of ownership. Now, what do you mean by the happiness of ownership? Buddha explains the happiness of ownership as one must work hard, put his time and energy and strive and earn money righteously in the correct way, right? He must earn money, he must earn wealth in the righteous way. Now, what do you mean by in the righteous way? Is by you should earn money without harming anyone, without harming yourself and without harming the other people, without harming the society, right? If you earn money without harming anyone, that is the righteous way of earning money. Now, Buddha said, as a householder, you must be happy and you must enjoy earning money, right? Buddha was someone who did not say that you should not pursue happiness. You should not pursue material happiness. The Buddha said, if you are a householder, you must do that. That is your duty, right? So the Buddha said, strive hard, work hard, put your time and energy to what you're working on, and earn money righteously. That is a happiness that you can gain, right? When you have enough money to your life, then you can be happy about thinking that I own this wealth. This is my wealth. That is sort of a happiness that one can gain, right? That is the first type of happiness that Buddha said a householder must achieve in their life at some point in their life, right? That is the first one. The second type of happiness that Buddha taught for householders to achieve is called Bhoga Sukha. The Bhoga Sukha can be translated into English as the happiness of enjoyment. Now, first you earn money, right? Now you spend money and enjoy it in the correct way, right? The Buddha says that you have to spend money in a way that you should not harm yourself and you should not harm the other people as well, in the righteous way, right? So that when you spend money doing good things like helping people, helping your parents, with your money, with the money that you righteously earned, and when you spend that money on the people who you love, right, to make them happy, it gives you a happiness, right? It is a great happiness that one can achieve. That you have to achieve in your life. Okay, so the second type of happiness the Buddha taught to achieve is called the bhoga sukha, the happiness of enjoyment. The third type of happiness that Buddha taught us to enjoy in the life is called the happiness of freedom from debt. That we called ananasukha. Ananasukha is the happiness of freedom from debt. Now, when you are free from debt, let's say you don't have any loans or any debt to pay, right? You're financially free. Then how much freedom that one can feel, right? You feel freedom, you feel a happiness that I'm no longer in debt to anything, right? I don't have any loans to pay, I don't have any debt to pay, so I'm financially free. That is a happiness that a householder must achieve in their life, right? That is a great happiness that one must achieve. The freedom, financial freedom, right? This is the third type of happiness. And then the fourth type of happiness, this is the most important thing. This is the most valuable happiness that a householder must achieve in their life, according to the Buddha. Buddha said, the fourth type of happiness is called anavajja sukha. Anavajja sukha means the happiness from blameless life. Now, what do you mean by a blameless life? The Buddha says that you have to do things, you have to say things, you have to live your life in a way that you do everything with a good heart, with a good mind, with a wholesome heart, right? When you spend your life as a good-hearted person, as a good person, as a wholesome-hearted person, right? It gives you a bigger happiness, bigger enjoyment, thinking about who you are. That is the most important thing, because all the other material happinesses, right? All the other three material happinesses, it can give you happiness, right? I don't say that it cannot give you happiness, but if you did not have this happiness, anavajja sukha, if your heart is complaining who you are, what you do, right? If your heart is regretting about who you are, then the other things doesn't matter, right? What matters the most is how you live in this life, right? At the end of our life, the most important thing that we can be happy about is how we live this life, how much love we gave to other people, right? How much we helped to other people, how righteously and how correctly we lived our life. So the Buddha said, you must achieve this happiness as well, right? So these are the four happinesses that a householder, one who is living in a family life, spending a family life, must achieve. So I hope this video and this teaching from the Buddha gave you a little light to your life. So I wish you all, may all of you be able to achieve all of these happinesses in this very life. Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about how to control these emotions of anger. Well, anger itself is a natural human emotion. We all feel angry. But if we do not know how to control this emotion, if we do not know how to deal with anger, sometimes it can be destructive. And if we let that anger to control over our life, we will get into lots of troubles. So, today, I'm going to introduce you a little practice that you can practice in your practical life to deal with this emotion. Well, first of all, I have to remember, none of these practices are easy. In fact, nothing in life that brings us the happiness, that brings the peacefulness to your life is not an easy task. it is a difficult one. Though it is difficult, we cannot abandon it because we like to be happy and we like to be peaceful in our life. So that is why Buddha said that everything that brings the happiness to your life is a difficult task. So what are the things that we can do to deal with these emotions of anger? Well, the first and the foremost thing that you can do to deal with these emotions is to acknowledge that your thoughts are in anger. If you don't know your thoughts are in anger, you cannot deal with it. So this includes the mindfulness, right? Whenever you are about to get angry, whenever you feel that you are triggered by this anger, just ask this question, what am I thinking now? In which mode my thoughts are in now, right? Whenever you ask that question and whenever you answer it, you can find, oh, I'm about to get angry now. Now my thoughts are in anger. That is the first step, to know that you are angry. Then it comes to the second step, right? So in this second step, if you look at this, if I ask a question from you, whenever you feel angry, imagine a situation that you have felt angry about something or someone, right? How your breathing pattern works. How our breathing pattern changes when we feel angry. It speeds up and we take short breaths, right? So that gives the sign to our body, that gives the message to our body that now you're ready for getting angry. You're breathing heavily, we are breathing in short periods, and we are breathing speedily. So the first thing that you can do is to slow down your breathing pattern. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Take another deep breath in and let it down. Slowing down the breathing pattern will help you to calm your body and calm your mind, right? Whenever we feel calm and when we are about to take a rest, what is the thing that we do? For an example, after a long day of work, when you come home and after having a good shower, if you fell on the couch, right? If you fell on the bed, what is the first thing that you do? You take a deep breath in and let it out. That is the thing that you do. That means you are giving the signal to your body that you are about to get calm or to have a rest. So the thing that we have to do, whenever we feel angry, whenever we feel we panicked, just give the message to your body that be calm by taking 2 to 3 deep breaths in and out, right? So breathing can help you a lot. Then as the third step, now you're a little bit peaceful and calming. Now you can wisely reflect on your thought pattern. When you reflect about your thoughts, you can find, why did I become angry with this person? What is that? Then you can find that anger does not prevail in an outer world, in that person or that thing, specific thing. Anger prevails in my mind, right? It is something that I have created. Whenever you come to a situation that you are triggered to be angry, you come up with these two choices, either to react with negativity or to respond with positivity. That is up to you, right? And your experiences and your good and bad experiences depends on these choices that you make. So you totally have the power and you totally have the privilege to respond with positivity, right? So you have to believe in patience for that. Remember, there is nothing in this world, there is no problem in this world that has been solved with anger. That is why Buddha said, anger does not cease by anger, or hatred does not cease by hatred. Hatred is ceased by love and kindness only. So you have to believe in patience and compassion and forgiveness. That is the way that you are going to solve the problem, right? Though you react in anger, though you yell out or scream or take actions with anger, that is not going to help. That is not going to solve the problem. It will make the problem even more worse. I have seen lots of people who could not control their anger for a split second. Just because they could not control their anger for a split second, now they are regretting for their whole life. So remember, anger is not going to help you. So when you believe in patience and kindness and compassion, you will have this strength to face that situation more positively. Remember what Buddha said. The Buddha said, before you do something from your body, from your speech, or from your mind, just wisely reflect that what I'm going to do, is this worthy of doing? Is it bringing happiness to myself, or is it bringing happiness to others? Is it going to hurt others, or is it going to hurt myself? If it is hurting you, and if it is hurting to other self, do not try to do it. Remember, it is okay that we feel angry sometimes in our mind, but it is not okay to let that anger to flow out from our bodily actions and our words, right? So remember, this is how we can control it. Always believe in patience and kindness. That is where you're gonna solve the problems. So this is a little practice where we can deal with these emotions of anger. So practice these practices little by little and make your life a peaceful one. Namo Buddhaya.